You're watching VNA News Bulletin. I'm Việt Hằng from Hanoi with the major stories.
Prime Minister urges agricultural sector to drive innovation, sustainability. Tan Son Nhut Airport increases flights to serve Lunar New Year. Top 10 outstanding international events in 2024 selected by VNA.
The agriculture sector held a year-end conference on December 27th. Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính attended the event.
Addressing the conference, Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính commended the efforts and achievements of the agriculture and rural development sector, recognizing its significant contributions to the country's overall progress. Acknowledging the sector's limitations that need to be addressed, the Prime Minister emphasized that 2025 will be a pivotal year for national acceleration and breakthroughs. In line with this, agriculture and rural development must also strive for growth rates of 3.5 to 4%. The Prime Minister directed the agriculture sector to improve planning, strategy development, and the refinement of institutions and policies, removing obstacles for rapid and sustainable growth. He urged the sector to accelerate the application of science and technology, foster innovation, and embrace digital transformation to advance green, digital, circular, and knowledge-based economies. The Prime Minister instructed the sector to enhance planning, develop robust strategies, refine policies, and remove bottlenecks to ensure rapid and sustainable development. He projected that by 2025 and beyond, the agriculture sector would undergo a transformative shift, joining the nation in entering the era of national resurgence.
On December 27th, Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính received Australian Ambassador to Vietnam, Andrew Golchinovsky, who came to bid a farewell before concluding his tenure in the country.
Congratulating the ambassador on his successful term, Prime Minister Chính praised his significant contributions to strengthening Vietnam-Australia relations and expressed hope that he will continue supporting bilateral ties across various fields. Both sides highlighted the strides made in Vietnam-Australia relations over the past year, including the elevation of their ties to a comprehensive strategic partnership, reflecting high strategic trust and opening new opportunities for cooperation. To further deepen and enhance the relationship, the Prime Minister urged both sides to maintain high-level exchanges, promote people-to-people connections, and expand cooperation in various fields including tourism, education, science, technology, and climate change response. Ambassador Golchinovsky affirmed his commitment to fostering bilateral ties, particularly in key areas outlined by the Prime Minister. He noted Australia's ambition to become Vietnam's top partner in agriculture, technology, green energy transition, among others.
Vietnam has regained its position as the growth star of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN, said the Hong Kong-Shanghai Banking Corporation, HSBC, when evaluating Vietnam's economic development in 2024.
The Fiber2 fashion website cites HSBC's analysis as saying that, after a challenging first quarter, Vietnam's economic outlook gradually became more positive, showing consistent recovery throughout 2024. HSBC maintains its growth forecast for Vietnam in 2025 at 6.5%. According to the HSBC, Vietnam's economic recovery extends beyond the consumer electronics sector to various other industries. Domestic consumption is gradually improving, while manufacturing and trade continue to lead the nation's economic rebound. However, there are still concerns about the potential impacts of Typhoon Yagi on growth. Vietnam remains a magnet for foreign direct investment, thanks to its generally positive outlook. HSBC observes that investors remain committed to supporting the country in expanding its production capacity. A total of $21.68 billion was disbursed in 2024, up 7.1% compared to 2023. This represents the third consecutive year that Vietnam's FDI disbursement has surpassed $20 billion.
Vietnam's garment and textiles export is projected to hit nearly $44 billion this year, positioning the country as the world's second biggest exporter, only behind India.
The figure saw an impressive increase of 11.26% compared to 2023. The information was announced by the Vietnam National Textile and Garment Group, VNEWS, in its recent year-end meeting. This achievement came despite numerous challenges, including market complexities. Building on this momentum, the industry has set an ambitious export target of $48 billion for 2025. To meet these goals, textile enterprises must address challenges such as small order sizes, rapid delivery times, and competitive pricing. Companies are focusing on improving labor skills, enhancing productivity, implementing policies to attract and retain workers, and ensuring sufficient resources for production and growth. According to VNEWS, positive growth signals can be seen from major import markets like the US and EU, where economic recovery and increased consumer spending are creating a promising outlook for the textile and garment industry. Besides, there is a significant opportunity presented by the shift of orders from Bangladesh, which could greatly benefit Vietnamese textile enterprises.
The Civil Aviation Authority of Vietnam has adjusted the flight capacity at Ho Chi Minh City-based Tân Sơn Nhất International Airport in a bid to meet peak travel demand during the upcoming 2025 Lunar New Year Festival, the largest traditional festival in Vietnam.
Accordingly, the airport's capacity will be raised to 48 flights per hour during the day and 46 per hour at night. With the break lasting from January 25th, the 26th day of the 12th month of the Year of the Dragon, to February 2nd, the 5th day of the Year of the Snake. The number of flights is expected to surge from the 15th day of the 12th lunar month, reaching 800 flights per day, with about 130,000 passengers daily. To ensure aviation security, heightened safety measures are needed during the holiday period. The Southern Airports Authority is suggested to deploy additional staff and collaborate with relevant units to guarantee smooth passenger transit during the peak travel season. Tan Son Not reported a projected air traffic volume of approximately 39.8 million passengers for 2024, a decrease of 2.1% compared to the previous year. This includes 16.2 million international passengers, a 14% increase year-on-year. Currently, 51 international and 6 domestic carriers operate at the airport, with averages of over 600 flights and 110,000 passengers per day.
The Vietnam News Agency, or VNA, has selected 10 standout international events in 2024. Join us to see more in the following report.
The Israel-Hamas conflict escalated, with Hezbollah and Houthi forces joining. Direct attacks between Iran and Israel further heighten tensions. The conflict has claimed 50,000 lives and displaced millions. Despite a ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah in November, negotiations with Hamas remain deadlocked, leaving little hope for peace.
On November 5th, Donald Trump defeated Kamala Harris to reclaim the presidency, with Republicans gaining control of Congress. His America First agenda heralds significant shifts in U.S. domestic and foreign policies, expected to have far-reaching global impacts on international relations and economic strategies.
After 13 years of civil war, opposition forces seized Damascus on December 8th, forcing President Bashar al-Assad to flee. The collapse of the regime has intensified fears of greater instability in the Middle East. The international community is working to facilitate a peaceful political transition and restore order.
Ukrainian forces launched cross-border raids in Russia, and missile strikes in November targeted deep into Russian territory. Moscow retaliated with hypersonic strikes and revised its nuclear doctrine. The assassination of a Russian general in December further escalated tensions. While both sides have called for negotiations, significant differences persist.
The IMF forecasted global economic growth of 3.2% in 2024, despite geopolitical conflicts and trade tensions. Central banks, including the U.S. Federal Reserve, lowered interest rates to stimulate growth. These macroeconomic adjustments reflect global efforts to stabilize markets and drive recovery.
Twenty 2024 was the hottest year recorded, with global temperatures exceeding 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. Extreme weather events such as Typhoon Yagi in Asia and severe flooding in Spain caused widespread devastation. Despite urgent calls for climate action, progress in reducing fossil fuel consumption remains inadequate.
Gold prices reached a record $2,790.15 per ounce on October 31st, driven by inflation, geopolitical instability, and monetary policy changes. Central banks increased gold reserves, underscoring gold's role as a safe haven asset. The surge prompted shifts in investment strategies amid market volatility.
Far-right and nationalist parties gained momentum in European elections, challenging EU stability and international cooperation. Political turmoil intensified as governments in France and Germany faced no-confidence votes, reflecting growing instability across the continent.
The UN passed its first resolution on artificial intelligence, advocating for safe and ethical development. ASEAN issued governance guidelines, and the EU introduced its AI Act to protect rights while fostering innovation. These actions demonstrate growing global attention to AI's opportunities and risks.
China's Chang'e 6 spacecraft returned samples from the moon's far side on June 25. These materials, including volcanic rocks, offer insights into lunar geography and history. This achievement marks a significant milestone in space exploration and scientific research.
And that has wrapped up our daily bulletin. Thank you for tuning in, and goodbye for now.